Hello everyone and welcome back to my videos. In this video I am doing a foster care questions and answers video, and I'm also giving you a little update of our foster placements. So I'll go ahead and get started with our foster care placement update. If you've been following along, we had these two boys and ages 1 and 7, and the little one left before the older one, and we got to spend more time with the older one and more bonding time. And so the older one left yesterday, and that was bittersweet. So they've been relocated now to a family member, and that is the whole goal of foster care. The whole goal of foster care is reunification with parents, and if they can't find parents, they will find family for these kids to go to family, since there's been research that states that when kids lose their parents, when they are with family, they tend to do better mentally and for their well-being. They're best to be with family. So even though the boys don't know this family friend, they moved them there. It was hard. It was hard, especially because the kids don't always go to good places, and it's something that you love these kids, you give your all. You attach to the kids because that's what they need. They need attachment, they need love at that moment, and there's no one else in the world that can give that to them at that moment. That's why they're in foster care, and they have no one. But when it's time to say goodbye, it's time to say goodbye, and you have to do it with a selfless love, with a bold and courageous love, trusting that God will be with them every step of the way, and that you've done your part in this big puzzle. And you pick up all your little broken pieces of your heart, and you move on to the next placement, and you pour into that placement with love and with courage, and putting food on the table for them that they may not have had, giving them the love and the assurance and the structure and the routines that they need. So that is what foster care is all about, and it's not for everyone, and it's hard work, and it's family ministry. And talking about family ministry, let's go right into the question. So why are you doing foster care? So why are we doing foster care? So a lot of people want to know, why are you guys doing this? And also, why don't you guys wait until your kids are older, until you're empty nesters? I've had people attack me and say this is wrong, you shouldn't do this if you have kids in the home, and lots of things like that. But let me tell you why we're doing it. So we're doing this as a family ministry, as family missions, to help vulnerable children in our local communities. So these are children that are literally in the big city, nearby us, and it's really eye-opening to be able to see. So you have a broader lens of people in your own local communities, and you get to work as a family team on missions. And it's every day you're on a mission trip in your own house, and it's in a safe place. And with our big family, we have 5 kids, 5 biological kids. We can't really get on an airplane and go do missions abroad. It's expensive, and it's hard, and it's not safe. So this is our way of giving back, and this is our way of teaching our children contribution, and this is our way of teaching our children about compassion and kindness and having a heart for service. So we're doing it as a family, and we set out to do it for a year, and we said after the year we would reevaluate. If we had any kids in the home, we would extend it, if we want to do it for a few more years. But that's how it all started. And if there's one of our family members, one of our kids, either my husband, that doesn't want to do this anymore, that they're being affected negatively, then our home is going to be closed, and we're not going to do it anymore. And so that is how seriously we take it. It's a family mission. We all work together to be able to do this work. And it has been really beautiful so far. So many learning experiences that you learn so many things, but it's hard. It's really, really hard. These kids come broken. They're not perfect little kids that come into your house. They are broken souls that have trauma. And so you learn about trauma. You learn about big behaviors and why kids behave certain ways, and why their minds think certain things. And it's really, really enlightening. All right, let's go to the next question. How do you get started with foster care? So if you're interested in getting started with foster care, one of the first things that you can do is contact the Department of Children and Families in your own county, and through them you'll be able to start right away with the application, the training. They'll do a home study. There's a lot of things that take place. It takes about, I want to say, like 3 months. It can take a little longer depending on where you are. But it is a process, and it is intrusive, all of the data collection and all of the application, but it's totally worth it, and it's totally amazing what you're able to do through this work. You can also work through private agencies. I work with a Christian agency which trains foster parents, and the whole goal of the agency is to reach children with the gospel. So children are placed in these Christian families, and I work with this Christian agency. And you can do either or. I mean, I think working with private agencies, you get a little bit more attention, you get a little bit more one-on-one. You also get to work with Christian organizations who have different goals. And so those are the two different options that I'm aware of. How many children are allowed? How many bedrooms? A lot of you wanted to know. It depends on each state. Each state is different. So you may have a state that may allow 8 children, like my state. They allow 8 children in my state. You may live in a state that may allow just 4 or 5. Some even go all the way up to 10, I think. And it depends also if you're able to accept a sibling group. They might go over that threshold, but that's how it is. You want to know how many bedrooms? It also depends. I say, you know, in general, a good rule of thumb is like 2 per bedroom, but they will accept more if they're the same gender. And it all depends on how many children you are licensed for. You can also only be licensed for 1 child if that's what you would like. And you get to choose the gender and the age of the children that come into your home. And so a lot of people recommend that you respect birth orders. So like if your youngest is 4, then you go 4 and under. That way you prevent like jealousy, and you know, you're able to protect your kids from things you don't want them to be exposed to and things like that. Let's see, another question here. Won't these kids mess up your kids? So a lot of people are saying like, why open up your house to trauma and to kids that come broken and have big behaviors? Our goal is not to raise kids that are safe and comfortable and wrapped up in a little bubble, because then we're not training them for real life. And my goal is to raise children that are courageous and kind and driven to help the vulnerable and to have a heart of service. And I think that opening up your home and having kids come in that have big behaviors and that have trauma, yes, you're going to experience the pain of what trauma is like, but you're also going to work parts of your heart that need to be mended and helped. I believe that the children that have come into our home, they've saved us, and they've saved parts of our hearts that had unbelief, had intolerance, had lack of love, lack of compassion, lack of understanding, entitlement. I think kids in this country are growing up with a huge sense of entitlement. You know, it's all about them and their world and their toys and other things that they have and their comfort and their self-pleasure. And that's not what I want for my kids. I am seeking something different. I grew up in a country that had a lot of poverty, and the reason that I am the way I am today is because I was exposed to hard things. And had I been raised differently, I don't think I would be who I am today. And that is what we're doing through this ministry that we're doing together. That's what we're doing this for our kids. And again, you want to keep your kids safe, and it's understandable. That's why you always want to stay below your kids' youngest age. But also, if there's a placement that comes into your home that's hard and that you see that's affecting your kids in a really negative way, you can ask for removal of that child and they will do that. So it's not like, you know, you have control over things, and you can always look out for the safety of your family first. So there is leeway there. Let's see here. Can I do this if I want to adopt? So can you do this if you want to adopt? I don't recommend that you go into this type of work if you want to adopt. Foster care these kids, they are not with you for a long time. And I want to say the stats is that 50% of them, they're reunified or they go to family. And then 50% of them are open for adoption. You know, when a child is in foster care, it's tragic, right? You're coming into foster care because you've been removed for something that happened or for a situation that you were living in. The government doesn't just take people's kids away very easily. It's hard to get your kids taken away. If they've taken your kids away, it's for a good reason. So it's tragic for kids to come into the foster care system, but it's even more tragic when kids come up for adoption, because you realize, hey, you know, these parents, they didn't recover, and they didn't get their lives together, and they didn't work their case plans, and they couldn't take care of their kids. But not only that, then they didn't have anyone else in their family that could step up for these kids, and then they're up for adoption. And so it's tragic. But if you want to adopt, and you don't have kids, and maybe you're going through infertility, I do recommend, you know, like a local private agency for adoption, because I think that way you won't experience the loss that you can experience with foster care. It's hard, it's a roller coaster. But if you want to see what God could do through you, and if you want to grow in a selfless love, if you want to help vulnerable children in the system, knowing that you give your all to these kids, but then you have to be open to saying goodbye and to being okay and to trusting that they're going where God wants them to go, then you would do foster care. And if you do foster care and then a child comes up for adoption, you are the first person that they're going to ask if you want to adopt, if you've been their foster parent. Foster care has a different option for people that just want to be on the adoption list. If you're on the adoption list, you might wait some years to hear back, because the first pick is the foster families. Once they come up for adoption, they're gonna have first pick because they've already bonded with this family. They've already been with this family, so that's what they're gonna first ask to be stayed. So if you go this route, it's going to be hard. You don't get to choose which child you're going to adopt. You don't know who's gonna stay with you. It's all foggy mirrors. It's a big roller coaster, and you might love a child that comes in your house, and you might want to stay with them, and they're like perfect, right? But then you might not be able to keep them, and you have to be okay with that. So that is how it works. Let's go on to another question. Can you homeschool the children that come into your home? No, you can't. There's been instances where people have been allowed to, and they've gotten a court order to be allowed. But for the most part, these kids, their legal guardian is the state, and they go to public school. So the child that we had that was 7, he was going to school, and it did give our family a little break to have him go to school and to, you know, kind of like work with my kids, because I homeschooled my kids. And then at the same time, he was able to go to school, you know, interact with other kids and be in the same environment, type of environment that he was in, because he was going to public school before. So it was a good setup. I became like the, you know, the homeschool mom that also has a kid in school, and I learned so much, and I opened my eyes to the school system, how, you know, it has good parts and it has bad parts, and there's wonderful teachers there, and they work so hard with these kids. And so there's been people that have been able to homeschool their foster kids, but you do need approval for that. And so it's not something that it's granted to every single family. All right. Do you receive services, and are you paid for being a foster parent? Yes and yes. You receive services, so you get all of their medical, all of their therapy services covered. Like if they need speech therapy or psychological or any type of therapy, they're going to be covered. Also for their medical, any medications, things like that. Also, they get daycare. So if you have children that are below the school age, you have the option of daycare, and that's a huge help. So when I had the little one here that was 1, that was a really big help, because I was able to put the child in daycare, a learning center in the morning, and then I was able to homeschool my kids and be able to kind of live the kind of the same life that I was living with my kids, with homeschool. Our routine and everything wasn't interrupted all that much. And then I would pick them up after we were done with school. So that worked out really well. And do you get paid? Yes, you do. You do get a stipend. But people, this is not why you do foster care. You don't do this. This is not, it's not something that you do for the money, because it's not like they pay you so much money that you're going to be making a profit of what you're doing. You're doing this to help and to work with vulnerable children. And if you're doing this for the money, I think you'll have to be very negligent to be able to make any type of money, because everything that you're getting a stipend for, it's literally going right into everything that you have to do for these kids and provide for them. All right. So what's next? It says here, what is next for you guys? What's next? So we had this placement leave. It was so hard to say goodbye. It was so hard, especially because we saw how much growth happened, and we wanted to continue working with the kids, and it was bittersweet to say goodbye, but we're just trusting God. And again, you don't get to, like, you know, be comforted in that these kids are gonna go to good places. The boys are actually going back to the same broken neighborhood that they were in, just with a family member. And we're just trusting God, you know, because now, like, he's going, like the oldest, I'm talking about the oldest now, he's going back to his own neighborhood, but he's going back with God in his heart. He learned about God. He learned how to pray. He used to be addicted to screens. He's no longer addicted to screens. He plays like I've never seen anyone play before. He became screen free in my house. Has an amazing routine, and just amazing. So packed the Bible with him, and I said, make sure they read it to you every night. Ask for them to read it to you. I packed up pictures, a little collage of our pictures and of our time together here. So there was lots of tears yesterday, lots of tears, lots of hurt. But what I'm planning on doing is like making this little wall of all the kids that come through our home, and just having that as a memory of our time of service in foster care as a family ministry. And next, what we're doing next is that we're gonna focus on babies next. We haven't held a baby for a really long time, like a tiny baby. So we're gonna focus on babies next. And I just can't imagine like a baby in a hospital whose mom can't take care of them, or whose mom has abandoned them, whose mom is drug addicted, can't take care of them, and they're just there in that nursery not being held by someone. So I just can't wait to like have a little baby in my arms that needs arms, and that needs love. And we're just excited to continue our journey. I am learning so much from all of the kids that are coming in, and it has just been very enriching for our family. It's been very hard. Yes, you don't have a normal life. Yes, there's tears. Yes, there's a struggle. Yes, you suffer when they leave because you love these kids and you don't always get to see them again. Like the 7-year-old that was here, we might never see him again. The little 1-year-old that was here, we might never see him again. Because, you know, for their well-being, for where they're going back to, you know, it's not something that we can continue nourishing like relationships or he's going back to. And so, but we're just trusting that God has them, and that wherever they go, they're taking a piece of our family with them that is always going to be with them wherever they go. And we've done our part of the big puzzle, and we're grateful for the opportunity. One more thing that I want to mention, a lot of you guys wanted to know how to help like with wraparound support. So if you want to do wraparound support and you don't want to do foster care, let's say your husband doesn't want to do it or you don't have everyone on board, wraparound support services, they're amazing because you would look for them in your local counties. So you would look for churches that have wraparound services, and that would be like babysitting, respite, meals. Some of them do laundry. there's activities they do for the kids, there's counseling, there's so much that you can help foster families do the work that they're doing, because this is really hard work. And 50% of foster parents, they quit the first year. So having wraparound support where you come around these families and you help them do the work that they're doing is huge. And it would also be a family ministry for your family if that's something that you would like to do. Another option that I want to mention is called the Care Portal. And that's a website or also an app that you can download on your phone. And there you can put your zip code, and you'll be able to see all of the necessities in your local community of single moms, of foster families, of people that are needing like a refrigerator, clothes, maybe they need babysitting. You're helping the families that are struggling before their kids even enter the system. You're preventing the entry into the system, which is huge. Look around you guys. If you look hard enough, you'll be able to see all of the need that's all around your communities. There's single moms. There could be a neighbor that you can help. If you open your eyes, you'll be able to see it. And that's something beautiful that we've learned in foster care, that once you work with foster care, you'll never be able to see the world the way that you used to see it before. When you see people now, it's so different, you guys, because like now when I see a little boy that reminds me of the 7-year-old, I'm gonna like know, like we're all gonna know, like, okay, a child that looks like they're mean, a child that's behaving a certain way, a child that's exhibiting certain types of behavior, they could be going through hard things. Like that could have been the same child, you know, that was in our home. Because when you see people, you don't really know what they're going through. But when you help people that are going through hard things, you can never see the world like you used to see it. Your level of kindness and compassion and understanding is really to another level. And so that is why I love this work. I'm sad to say goodbye to the boys that left. So sad. But I'm excited for the new ones that are gonna come in and going to be able to benefit being in our home, and we're going to be able to learn from them as well. I hope that you have enjoyed this video, and I'll see you all in the next video. Bye-bye.